Hi, hi, hi. What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to. Hey, you know what?
What?
It is Tommy Lee Wallace's birthday.
Tommy Lee Wallace's birthday.
Yeah. So, if you don't know, he directed this movie.
He wrote and directed this movie.
Yeah, he helped write it. Yeah.
It said written and directed by. I mean, if you can't go by the credits, what can you go by?
Well, I know John Carpenter had quite a bit to do with it, even though he don't want to say that.
Oh,
But anyway, I
this is like
digress. I
this is,
digest.
I digest.
Oh, so, folks, welcome back to Ming Power Hour. And if you see what's going on here, you got two hosts here. One has worked their butt off the last couple of days, and the other one is on vacation.
That's right. I have done nothing.
Well, you strive at what you do best.
I feel like it's important for me to take a rest between my rests so that I'm well rested for my next rest.
Nice.
Yeah.
But you did do something. You did watch Halloween 3.
Oh my God. I watched Halloween 3 Season of the Witch.
So this was brought up, I don't know, maybe not even a year ago, I guess, but you were like, you know what? I have never seen Halloween 3.
Never. I've never seen it.
So we've been holding this one, packing the gun for this one, because it is, for you that do know, it's a one of a kind movie. And yeah, I'm anxious to see what you think about it, because I think I already know.
Well, I'd seen Halloween 6 and it was definitely better than that.
Yes, I 100% agree. When it went off, when I finished it, I was like, it's still better than 6.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a good movie. I'm gonna say it's a good movie. It's got its problems,
Sure.
but it's good. It's a good movie.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, man, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, for you that don't know, which I find very rare because that's the whole reason you're clicking on this link to hear this thing is because
True.
you do know, because you want to hear our opinion. But if you don't know, this is the only Halloween movie that does not have Michael Myers in it, except maybe on a TV screen. He is not the
Right.
focal point of this movie. So that really, this thing is kind of infamous when it comes to series, long series of movies. This one kind of threw everybody for a loop. Matter of fact, we didn't even get a follow up to this till what year was 4? 89, 90?
I mean, long enough for people to get over whatever they had a problem with. But again, this was the whole idea was that Halloween was going to be an anthology,
Right.
and they made 1 and 2, and since they both featured Michael Myers, 3 was kind of a problem, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think they were smart for wanting to move it forward and kind of do a night gallery, Twilight Zone, Tales from the Dark Side kind of idea with it. But it just did not go over because Michael Myers was such a big hit. So, you know, I get it. But at the same time, it would have been interesting to see where this led to with other stuff.
Yeah, it didn't help that 1 and 2 both featured Michael Myers, so people had gotten to where they thought Halloween, that means Michael Myers.
Right.
And unfortunately, that meant that when they saw something else, they were reticent to join into that, and they had to get back to Michael Myers before it would be an accepted franchise.
Right. So, all right, let's just go ahead and jump into this thing. You got anything you want to start with when we talk about this? This is from 1982. So, right in the beginning of the huge era of horror flicks from the 80s. This is kind of right there at the beginning.
Yeah, it's 19, like you said, 1982. It was early in the slasher genre, really.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
so, I think people were ready for more slasher movies. If anything, the popularity of Friday the 13th proves that.
Yep.
And this went in a different direction, and like you said, it was kind of a Tales from the Dark Side, Twilight Zone kind of thing going on, and it just didn't really pick up. But all along, I think that the longevity of it is proven by the fact that people now are excited about
Yeah,
season of the witch. They really like what it came to provide that, at the time people didn't really get.
yeah. I mean, just well, we'll talk about it as we go along, but yeah, it's so ridiculous that it's awesome, which is our kind of movie. So
No, I don't disagree. It's very much the 80s for
yeah,
sure. It's like, hey, I have an idea. I'm not gonna like flesh out the idea, but we'll push through it anyway.
yeah. So kind of get the ball rolling here. To me, when it just started opening up, the music started playing, the first scenes going through, I said, this really looks like this could have been shot on the same set as Escape from New York. The way the lighting is, the music, it's like somewhere between Christine and Escape from New York, which brings up a good theory of mine. Remember how we always talk about Toby Hooper and Steven Spielberg over the whole poltergeist thing?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm thinking there was some outside direction going on here because it is dead up Carpenter, man.
Absolutely. And I think that especially in the whole guy being chased through the junkyard scene and the
Yep.
music, the whole like the music is taking the place of the jump scare.
Right.
It's very much but it says right there that John Carpenter did the music, and I
Yes.
think he's probably much like John Williams. He's watching the movie and making the music as he goes, and that's okay. I mean, it. I don't think that Tommy Lee Wallace is incapable of making a movie like this. I mean, he's
No.
proven he could be.
Sure.
He's a Joe Dante. He's picking up where other people left off and making significant, serious plots
Yeah.
and good movies. But yeah, I see what you're saying there. That John Carpenter had a little more than a an observatory kind of thing going on.
What's cool about this too, even looking at the credits of everybody involved here, normally when you get to about the third movie in a series, you're dropping that the cost as low as possible. But come on, man, you got Dean Cundy still doing the photography, Tommy Wallace stepping in and doing his best Carpenter. Really, this is bigger budgeted than most third in a series would get.
Yeah, that's true. And it shows it. I don't think the production value is lost. I like
Mm,
you said about coming up with a premise and then running with it. It was more of a plot kind of thing. It was like, let's just get this movie made. But I don't think that it was shortchanged. I think it was made and they were cranking out another movie,
yep,
almost grindhouse, but
yep,
not so much cheapskate.
yeah, yeah. So you got the great Tom Atkins.
Yeah.
I mean, is there a movie that he's in that he's not a reward in, right? I mean, it's
Oh
it's
my
Tom
goodness.
Atkins, man. Uh People love to put out the memes and stuff of him in this movie because, you know, he's a established doctor. He doesn't have time for families. Family's falling apart.
Yeah.
Ex-wife always promising to come to pick up the kids.
I do think it's definitely a middle-aged man's fantasy at some point.
So he's doing his business, and you could tell every woman that he's associated with in this movie, he's already been with her or he's about to.
Yeah, I think I've got in here that he is like the James Bond of the Halloween series here. That like the coroner, yeah, he's bagged her. It's obvious.
Yep.
The nurse, maybe. Like there's some issue there, but like
He said I should have
there-
married you first, right?
right. There isn't a woman there that he hasn't had some kind of a connection with, and maybe follow that through fruition.
And I mean, it's just perfect casting, right? I mean, he's nailing it. Oh, but yeah, I mean, this thing moves on. You got anything from the first part of the movie you kind of want to bring up, or
Well, I'm just gonna say, all right. So we talked about the music And I think that that goes without saying. You know, you got a John Carpenter film with John Carpenter music. It's going to be some heavy synthesizer,
Oh yeah.
fare. But I want to say at 550, dude gets squished by a Cadillac. You know, like there's a heated chase scene at the beginning
Yeah.
where a main character who is yet to be introduced gets chased down by one of the faceless automatons of the Silver Shamrock goon squad, and while he's being choked, you know, he manages. And can we talk about the giallo? It's very
Oh yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
influenced by giallo. There's a lot
Nope.
of like the hand groping for something off the screen. You just see the hand and the item. Um,
This
there's a
not only that, but this movie moves. It progresses like a giallo as well.
yeah. There's a lot of real. I don't even know what to say. Like clear film quality to it, where like a lot of it is almost voicelessly
Yep.
described. Not that there aren't some people who describe the plot, you know, like the drunk or
Mm-hmm.
like the multiple people who come to the factory, you know, who kind of explain the plot. But there's a lot of real heavy-handed like visual imagery that explains the plot. And in
Yep.
this case, you know, he pulls a chalk out from under a tire, and a car comes and crushes the guy that's trying to kill him. And it's very much just kind of a, it wouldn't matter if the sound was on or off. You could get the idea of what's going on here.
Yeah.
And you know, on top of that, you know, you got the killers are kind of well, they're their own thing. I don't want to give a spoiler yet,
Yeah.
but
Right.
you know, they're Irish agents of the Silver Shamrock Company, and they also have a secret.
I just love the fact of, they're all Irish. It's kind of like in Samurai Cop. It's supposed to be this Japanese gang, and there's one person in the whole gang that's Japanese. Nobody else is.
Yeah, yeah.
So you kind of get the same kind of logic here. But, you know, you get the case where the guy gets away from getting, the guy gets crushed with the car. He runs away, goes to the gas station, uses the phone, has some kind of heart attack,
Yeah.
and gets rushed to the hospital by the guy at the gas station, leaving the gas station unattended. Just saying. But, who knows? People were kinder, I guess, in 82.
Yeah, 82 was known for its humanitarianism.
Well, if I had the Hail Ming button, it'd be ringing right now.
I
Hail Ming.
want to say that you know, like the quote that he gives when he's going unconscious is very different. The
Yeah.
quote in the hospital, and it's not all that accurate. He says, "They're coming, they're coming." So, for those of you who are not initiated, you know, it starts out with a chase. A guy's like frantically running away. A guy in some really shiny shoes chases him down and tries to choke him, and he manages to pull a chalk, and a car crushes him. And you know, um, it's really stiff in the
Yeah.
way that it's driven, but that's a reason for that.
Sure.
And then the main character, they're coming, they're coming, and he falls unconscious. I don't know that anybody's coming, really. Like,
Yeah.
just for accuracy's sake, there is something that's going to happen, but
Yeah.
people aren't really coming.
Yeah. I totally agree.
Yeah.
But and that is kind of weird when you think back on it, because that they don't have to come after anybody. They just make this thing happen. It's merchandising.
Right.
Right.
It is what it is, but we'll get to that. And I don't want to soften it or to
Yeah.
besmirch it. It's really a good thing. And once he gets to the hospital, his quote becomes, "They're coming to kill us all of us," and that's a lot more accurate.
Kind of covers it. Yeah.
They're going to kill us all.
Yeah.
They're going to kill us all. They're not coming to kill us because they're not coming. The infrastructure is all in place. It's just a matter of setting it in place. And
Yep.
I think it's a brilliant idea for a Halloween movie. I think it's really solid. It's much better than your slasher genre. It's way more complicated.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. It is. It's just, the payoff at the end is, it's like, did we just get into Scooby-Doo or something here? What happened?
Right. What happened? Maybe they thought, since Halloween 1, got an immediate segue into Halloween 2. Maybe they thought Halloween 2 would have or Halloween 3 would have an immediate segue into Halloween 4, but
Who
it didn't.
knows?
It
Yeah.
didn't.
And you get all kinds of symbolism here. Of course, Tom Atkins gets introduced at this point. He's a doctor, is going to his ex-wife's house, pick up the kids. Oh, crap. I can't pick them up. I just got called back into work.
Sorry.
You just have to keep them again. I'll come pick it up this weekend, I promise. And he whips out these little masks, which are kind of the masks that I had growing up, the little Walmart suits you used to buy. Yeah. And the kids are like totally disappointed, right? And he's like, the kid's like, we've already got masks. And they pull out these nice, let's face it, these masks are awesome.
Yeah. Some solid latex. They even show how they're created there.
Yeah.
At the factory.
Yeah. So he goes back to work. That's where this guy is that said everybody's coming to kill him and all that stuff. And here comes another sharp-dressed man in there with shiny shoes. And this
is the most yellow scene in the film. They even follow him down the hallway, just showing his shoes and his hands and the leather gloves. It is absolutely like, somebody's gonna get murdered at the end of the scene.
And you expect them to go, it's a me, Dario.
Hey, Dario. I don't want to be the one who wears the gloves because it's not a narcissistic thing, but I just do it. Yeah.
I just perform better than anybody else with gloves. Plus, it's better if I'm killing my own wife.
Oh, Daria.
Oh man. So yeah, this scene, let's this is where you kind of see, okay, these people that are coming to kill people or whoever have some abnormal strength, abnormal abilities, because they basically just walk up, do the 2-finger death punch right in the dude's eyeballs, grabs the cartilage and everything between, and just snaps. It's pretty gruesome.
Doesn't he, he brings up the fist and then kicks out the 2 fingers, and then
this dude could only done this, right?
I noticed that his hands weren't really secured or anything. He was just kind of he was resigned to it. He was like, I'm here in the hospital, I might as well just give up. Yeah.
Is that you again, Nurse Margaret?
What was his name? Mr. Blankenship?
Sure.
Something like that.
Yeah. So anyways, dude gets the axe, or the two-finger death punch. And so this brings in his daughter, who's trying to find him or find out who killed him.
Yeah. Ellie.
And who do you think she teams up with? Tom Atkins.
Good old Dan. What is it? Chalice. Dr. Dan
Chalice. So he's like, hey, you know what? We know where all this is happening. Let's go to this little town. We'll get us a room together. We'll pretend we're the Smiths, not the band, the Smiths. We'll just call ourselves the Smiths.
Right.
And, we'll hang out and try to figure out what we can come up with.
So, same old joke since 1902.
She'll take a bow.
All right, so I just got to point this out. Why did this whole thing start on October 23rd? Okay.
Well,
so October 23rd, the guy gets chased down. October 24th, his daughter comes in and identifies him as the murder victim. And then they jump to October 27th. Why bother to have 3 days that are disappeared here?
Well, you know what happened in those 3 days? That's when Tom Atkins said, hey, you want me to sleep out in the car? And she's like, you can sleep wherever you want to. And then 3 days later.
Except that didn't happen. It happened on screen. And it was like, you know what? I'm older than I look. That's just to keep you guys from thinking this is too creepy. Yeah, I was watching that and I was like, yeah, there's no doubt that some middle-aged dude wrote this script, because it's like, what if a young hot chick just decided it was time to do it with an older guy? I'm just gonna write this in right now. And
of course, Tom Atkins has to get on the phone. Yeah, honey, I'm sorry, I'm out of town. I can't pick up the kids. I'm up here with a bunch of doctors doing stuff. What's going on? I don't know, some kind of convention. Doctors everywhere.
And then he's back in the High Life again, putting that Miller High Life on the car. He's like, yeah, I'm sorry, honey, I can't tell you the name of the hotel that we're going to be staying in, but it's just a bunch of doctors. And he puts that 6-pack on the car, like, yeah,
Oh yeah, man, classic. It's Tom Atkins. I mean,
yeah.
I'm
No doubt.
I'm sure I wonder if there was any liberties there. Hey, it'd be cool if I had a 6-pack. Like, yeah,
He
it's
just had
on.
it on set. He just had it on set. He was like, he came into work that day and he had like a 6-pack with him. They're like, yeah, roll with it. Put that on screen, buddy. But yeah, he jumps in the car. He's like, hey, look, I know I'm sorry. I'll take him trick or treating or whatever. Whatever. Yeah, fine. Bye. And then she's like, I didn't. He hangs up. And God, what a bitch, like. And then he puts his beer in the car and he's gone with the daughter of probably somebody about the same age as he is. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
probably.
Pretty close, I would
We're
think.
talking about some old boy scenario here. Like, well, sure she's young, but whatever.
Hey, you know what? We've never done Old Boy.
Old boy, you
Yeah.
introduced me to that movie.
Do what?
You introduced.
Yeah.
I came and did that haunted house with you, and you were like, "You got to watch Old Boy," and you were
Right.
right.
Maybe after we get through our Halloween season here, we'll kick up some Old Boy.
Kick up with some Old Boy.
Yeah.
I'm 100% on that. That movie is deeper than some of its parts, but that doesn't mean we'll do that here.
Right. So, have you ever seen Dead and Buried? I can't remember if you ever watched it or not.
No.
It's a very Twilight Zone-y type story. This movie, from this point right here, when you get to meet the townspeople and everything,
Yeah.
we need to do Dead and Buried. I need to send you a copy because
I think that the town of San Mira is actually a pretty good creepy element to this whole
yep,
thing.
absolutely.
Where it's like a company town, all the people
Yep.
believe in the benefactor, even though he doesn't appear to be doing anything for anybody. It's a
But
good
they're all kind of good and happy with everything, but at the same time they're in it a little bit,
yeah.
right?
They know something's up, but they're willing to ignore it.
Right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that kind of gives me the same idea of what happens in Dead and Buried as far as this town. It's got that creepy element. And another thing too, I lost count of how many times somebody looks out the window or looks across the way and there's just a person standing still, right?
Right.
It's all
That-
over the place. And this is
that-
something that Carpenter's always been a fan of. I mean, Michael Myers was the shape that just stood there. You got the fog where they just kind of stand there and look. You got Prince of
Creepy.
Darkness. Prince of Darkness when he looks out and Alice Cooper and them standing out there. I mean, it's a creepy thing, but he uses that a lot. And again, Tommy Lee Wallace probably said, "Yeah, we'll do that."
Yeah. Well, it doesn't help to have it doesn't help. It doesn't hurt to have a collab.
Right. I mean, we
It
got all these
doesn't
guys
hurt.
standing out here that are, wearing, business suits from Willard's.
Yeah, and they got their hands out to the side like they're Sasquatches. There's some weirdness going on with that, but like that's the whole thing. Is they're supposed to look alien.
All right, my favorite scene is right here close.
Yeah.
It's the family that pulls up in the Winnebago. I love this scene because the boy gets on his bike, little buddy, and he rides off, and she's like, "Be back for dark," and he like flips her off.
Yeah, it gives you the finger on the way out. Don't ride on the street.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, and that whole thing is a pretty serious plot explanation extravaganza. They meet
Oh yeah.
top salesman who sold all this. That's who that ends up being. And then they meet Marge.
Sure.
They meet the lady sitting next door who's also just kind of
Oh yeah.
another
She's salesperson. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's trying to get some inventory for her store. And she's over there picking it up because apparently getting it shipped isn't good. It's not a very understandable scenario from today's economy, but
Absolutely. Yeah.
you wouldn't drive to California to pick up inventory. You just get a truck to drive.
Right. But hey, you got to have extra people in this movie for things to happen, right?
Right. And when like I said, it's a lot of plot explanation. They're like, I can't believe I have to come here to pick up inventory for Silver Shamrock. They used to be a small place, and now they're a big place, and they're making stuff worldwide. They're sending all kinds of myths everywhere. And hey,
Mhm.
by the way, it's kind of heavy-handed, but it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. We need to know more about the Silver Shamrock. And how about the whole town? There's security cameras everywhere, and everything is ran by this factory. I mean, everything is ran by this factory in
There's
town.
a 6 o'clock curfew.
Yeah. Yeah. Even your cats can't be outside.
Yeah, they get the little kitten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely something's going on. But you know what? Tom Atkins don't care because chick just came out of the bathroom in a nightgown and
He's got a nightie and
yep,
she's
ready to
ready to
rumble.
go. Yeah, again, so you got Tom Atkins, he's a doctor. They're at this town where this factory is making these masks, and they got these commercials. We haven't talked about the commercials,
We haven't
right?
talked about the commercial.
I mean, the commercials are ubiquitous. I had seen them before I saw the movie.
Yeah.
There was this. Oh, okay, kids. It's 8 days till Halloween. Make sure you're wearing your Silver Shamrock mask for the big giveaway. I mean, it is it is so creepy just in itself, and I think it's masterful the way
Yeah.
that it's done. It's really creepy, and it doesn't do much. It's doing a lot with little, is what it is.
Hey, again, 1982, the whole opening sequence, the whole credits at the beginning,
Yeah.
computerized. It's kind of
Yeah.
ahead of its time.
It's got some pixels, and as they're broken
Yeah.
down, it pans back, and it's a jack-o'-lantern face.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. I mean, I agree. Um, but I gotta point this out, and I know this a little earlier, but after the realtor, who is Ellie's dad, gets killed in the hospital, there's a fireman.
Yeah.
I know you know what I'm talking about. Tom Atkins is, I'm sorry, honey, I can't watch the kids anymore ever because they're not
Ever.
really my kids, and I gotta go. Like, and then in the background, there's just a fireman. He's leaning up against Tom Atkins's refrigerator, and he's like, he's wearing like the fireman hat inside. There's no fire going on, and he's just like, and a cop comes over near the end, and he's just like, "Hey, buddy, do you need somebody to like act off of?" And he's like, "Yeah, I really could use somebody to act off of because I've just been sitting here shaking my head for like 2 minutes solid now." Because, and the reason he's there is because the guy who killed Ellie's dad set himself on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure did.
pretty
Burning
good
himself
scene
up.
too. Pretty good
It,
scene. He kills her dad. He stabs him in the, breaks his septum, gives him that deviated septum surgery,
yeah.
and then he walks out, and Tom Atkins is like, "Oh, I'm gonna chase you out the door." He chases him out the door, and he gets into the car, and he pours himself full of gasoline, and then
Light her up.
himself on fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's nothing
That's
that says
good.
more Halloween than that. Nothing. Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, and that kind of leads to this. And again, going back to the coroner, the lady at the lab. I mean, she's in this movie a whole bunch,
Yeah. I like
and
her.
and yeah, it's like, hey, have you got anything on this? Well, I don't know about that, but I do know about this. And hey, I found something in the car that, doesn't really look like an automotive part.
Right. She's like, I didn't see any bones or anything, just car parts. And that kind of comes to around later because it's much like that episode of Scooby Doo where the guy's like the puppet master and everybody's mechanic. Well, guess
Yep.
what?
Yeah.
Guess what? The head of OCP over here has got a secret.
But yeah, every time he gets in a pinch, that's who he calls on. And,
Yeah.
hey, see what you can find out about this guy, right? Or hey, see what you can find out about this area. Or so that's kind of a cool, person that you can always go back and refer to. So that works out pretty well in this. Let's see. I left out a point that I wrote down. It said she's ready to go to work and look for her dad, and Tom's ready to go to work in bed.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, so there's so Tom Atkins, Dr. Dan Chalice is trying to figure out what happened to this patient who got brought in and then was murdered by a guy who set himself on fire. and his daughter comes in and he's like, she's kind of hot, but I'm a man of value and I'm not gonna make that happen until she says okay.
Right.
And
And
he's drinking
but
in the bar, and yeah, she comes and finds him. They go to San Mira after checking out the ledger at the hardware / grocery store, and then there they are. It's time to bone.
yeah, man. And and it's the setup too, right? Because it's just like you said, from a degree, it's probably what he was like. I'm not going to push this, but if it happens, it happens. But he just happens to say, "Hey, you want me to go sleep in the car? It'd be better than sleeping on the floor." And there you go.
Yeah, and she's like, I'd rather you kiss me. And he's like, hey, I got this 6-pack Miller High Life here, and it's time to go.
Let's rock and roll.
Well, what about the motel owner? He was like,
Oh yeah.
well, old Cochran, he's a good old boy. And how much would it take? $40 sounds great. What is this guy? What is this guy?
Well, it's again, they got to point out that everybody there is Irish, and it's that whole thing because nobody else has spoken any kind of Irish slang yet. So you have to have that to say, no, hey, we must be in Little Ireland now.
That's Mr. Cochran. He's a good guy, even though he creepily drives his Cadillac around here at 10 miles an hour.
Because it's big trouble in Little Ireland.
Oh my God, I didn't even make the connection.
Yeah, and Tommy Lee Wallace playing keyboards or guitar.
Was he in that? Was he in the Coupe de Villes?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
He's the Carpenter Trinity there.
So what, it was Nick Castle?
Yeah. Tommy Lee Wallace.
And
John Carpenter.
John Carpenter?
And Joan Baez, I think. I couldn't remember who the other one is.
What did he do? I'm not trying to be insulting. What did he do though?
Well, just watch the video again. He's the guy with the long red curly hair.
Is he wearing a necktie around his head?
Ladies
and gentlemen, J.J. Abrams.
That's pretty close.
Nice.
Oh, but yeah, he's in the Coupe de Villes, man. So he's got cred, street cred.
I would see the Coupe de Villes. I would
Yeah.
I would pay some money.
Heck yeah, man. If Carpenter really wants to take his live music show to another degree, bring out the Coupe de Villes, man.
Break it out. I'll go. Tommy Lee Wallace probably isn't doing. No offense, but
he did want to come on the show.
His agent or something said that he would come on the show, and then I made fun of his name a whole bunch in the Fright Night episode, and I didn't know that. I just make fun of everybody's name.
Way to go, man! We could have had a legit person on this show, and no, thanks to you.
Sorry.
No, it's hilarious. Oh man.
Yeah. There you go.
So they get the big tour of the factory with the guy that sold the most products for the company, and
Buddy, who's there because he's the top salesman,
right?
And he's there with his family, and they're getting shown. And hey, what about my friends over here? What's his name and what's her face? Come on in too.
Yeah, I know them people. I met them once outside.
They get into the factory and they tag along with the factory tour.
Yeah,
that the top salesman's getting, and they show everybody making the witch mask and the pumpkin mask and the skull mask.
Yeah, and that's kind of it. And they're like, "Oh, you can't go past these doors because that's where heavy chemical
control.
Yeah, quality control. You can't go in there." So that's where the real secret of what's going on here. But then you get back at the hotel, you get the lady that finds the chip off of back of the mask, and she takes a hairpin out and hits it, and then like Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber comes shooting out of her mouth.
Yeah, well, that's some serious business there. And in the meantime, on the other side, Tom Atkins is doing it with a much younger chick. And she's like, what was that? Or he's like, what was that? And they're like, oh, who cares? And they keep boning.
Yep. She's like, my face is burning, my mouth is blown up, and there's bugs crawling out of my face. And he's like, yeah, that's happening over here too.
But like, yeah, I mean, what the and the bugs, I guess so. So I think we forgot to mention that one of the stones of Stonehenge has been stolen.
Yeah. And they
Kind of
show
a
it on the
side,
news
kind of
early
a
on.
side note that like that during all this, like one of the stones of Stonehenge, the easternmost moonstone or whatever, has been stolen. And you know, spoiler alert, it shows up
Yeah.
in the factory.
I'm just trying to figure out, did nobody see like a big semi or something coming down the road with a big chunk of rock on it and go, hey,
I think they said something about it being like 5 tons or something. Like,
right.
how did this? Okay, all
I
right.
mean,
This doesn't shine a good light on the UK, and this is even worse than like I know like the Roger Moore 007 movies. Like somebody snuck away with like a whole rock from Stonehenge. That's bad.
yeah. Even when they, I don't know, we'll talk about it after a while, but even if I was like, I can't believe we got it here. What were you saying?
I was just saying this movie's crazy though. Like I, I want to like it, and it's like it doesn't want me to like it. Like the whole Tom Atkins, deadbeat dad thing is pretty hard to ignore. And then like it's almost like they double and triple down on that, where they're like, yeah, he's a shitheel, but he's also a bad dad, and he's kind of like a misogynistic, like, player. And
Sure.
well, none of these things are necessarily good, but I guess I can get behind it, sort of. I mean,
Well, he does, try to wrong the right here in a little bit. Anyways, at least he tries to save his kids' lives.
true. Which I
So
mean, yeah, there's some of that.
everyone has their vice. His just happens to be about 20 years old.
She's much older than she looks. She
Yeah.
says, she says it, so it's okay.
Yeah. So after the tour, they're outside of the factory, and then
Yeah,
she sees her dad's car.
yeah.
So she knows her dad's been killed.
There's
They've
a
done
whole bunch
all,
of mooks around. They're all hanging
yeah,
out in like alleyways and little alcoves, and she runs past all of them, and she's like, "This is my dad's car." And then
yep,
they like, they circle on her pretty quick.
yep. And that lets them know right there that something is really up. So they go back to the motel, and hey, you pack your stuff. I'm going to call the cops. Well, guess what? The factory runs the phone system too.
Right, that's right. 911 doesn't get through. That's
Right.
how.
So in the middle of that, somehow she ends up disappearing. Then all of a sudden, it's on. He's being chased by these people that chased the guy in the first part of the movie.
Yeah.
And this really clears up something that I've always thought, and that is Dick Warlock is a robot.
It doesn't surprise me. Like, so again, like I said, when you get into the whole Scooby Doo, there's the whole episode where the guy has got the puppeteering. He's created that's what this is, man.
Yep.
Dan O'Hurley, the guy from OCP, he's controlling the whole Silver Shamrock company. He's like the white dude in charge of everything, and he's totally got robots running the whole place.
Yeah.
And they're also his killers, and they're also like apparently his grandma over here knitting in the corner.
Man, that was good. That was well done.
That's the part that reminded me the most of Scooby Doo, actually. Like, so you got Tom Atkins. He finds some lady who's knitting in the corner, and he's like, "Where is she? Where is she?" And shakes her, and her head falls off, and it's like one of those witch masks, that's just painted flesh colored, and it's a robot.
It's a robot. A toy robot.
A toy robot.
But yeah, man, I mean, I think that's a nice setup because it really makes you go, oh, you know what this is? Kiss meets the Phantom.
Kiss meets the Phantom.
The guys building the robots to take over and kill Kiss and get rid of the amusement park. I mean, I'm gonna say it right here. Tommy Lee Wallace ripped off Kiss meets Phantom of the Park
You know,
and Scooby Doo.
everybody's gonna leave their seat on that one.
Yeah, I'm sure. Hey, Scooby Doo and the Kiss movie, both Hanna-Barbera products too.
Hanna-Barbera, Tommy Lee Wallace,
There you go.
right?
Silver Shamrock.
I really
yeah.
did like those commercials. I see why they come around every year because they are kind of timeless in that they're creepy and commercial, and they kind of point out how commercial endeavors can be kind of scary.
It's kind of like when you see the pictures that keep floating back that people share on Facebook of like kids dressed up for Halloween like in the 1800s, and it's the creepiest looking crap you've ever seen.
It's true. It's true. It really is. And the Silver Shamrock thing is totally the same kind. It's kind of like a timeless weirdness.
Yeah. It's creepy because it's made for kids, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know about this. And the kids are all like, it's great.
I was getting off camera. I was getting some kind of cue, but I didn't understand.
Oh. Oh. But yeah, man, the big fight with Dick Warlock, and he rips into his chest and pulls out a bunch of wires and phantasm tall man blood. It's cool.
Yeah, there's some phantasm there too. Like,
Yep.
you know, there's some phantasm in this.
Yep.
Like when they're riding to San Mira, the music and the car, it's kind of this, I don't know, a separation from reality that happens in Phantasm too, where it's kind of like you're on this journey with the characters, and the characters are getting away from the status quo.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and the best part of the whole movie is when Reggie jumps out and goes, "This not going to leak on my ice cream, is it?"
He's got that four-barrel shotgun.
So, Tom Atkins gets captured by the hooligans. He's taken in to see the inner works of what's really going on. This is where the whole story is spelled out in front of us. I love it when they walk into the big lab area there, and it's like you got all these guys at computer, and I was like, man, this looks like, you got Kraftwerk down here working on their new album. And then you see these guys over here, and hey, there's that Stonehenge monument that's missing.
And they're just like, they're chipping pieces off of it with a hammer and chisel. Like, well, this whole TV broadcast won't work unless we chip off this part of Stonehenge to put in the TV antenna.
Yeah. And
what?
And they put it into the little silver shamrock emblems on all the masks. So
Silver Shamrock.
Yeah, so there you go, folks. In order to make the evil happen, we're taking Stonehenge, breaking it off in little pieces, putting it on a mask. That way, when you watch the TV commercial, bugs and snakes start coming out your mouth.
Right, like, because otherwise it would just be a laser that melts your brain. But
yeah, because everybody knows that Stonehenge has everything to do. There's even a rattlesnake that comes out of that one kid's mouth. I'm like, how does this make any sense? It's cool.
It bites dude's leg. Like, it's like, oh no, my son is dead, but I have to be dead too. Oh no, okay, well, I guess a rattlesnake's gonna bite me.
I mean, it's a cool scene because you see his head start to deteriorate. You don't really see it, but the way that it's done, it's done very well. And then everything starts coming out, very creep showish, And
that scene actually is probably the creepiest scene in the movie for me.
Yeah.
Like, because so to set this up, like, they show Tom Atkins, they're like, oh, by the way, here's what's going on. And they take the top salesman and his family and they set him into some kind of a, like a show house living room, where it's got like a TV, and of course the kid plops down in front of the TV and turns it on. It's the Silver Shamrock big giveaway. Watching the big giveaway at 9:00, and they're watching that, and he puts on his Silver Shamrock mask that he just got from the factory earlier, and it melts his head, and then like bugs and snakes start coming out of it, and I don't even see what happened to his mom. Like,
no, she faints. Really, I mean,
everybody just dies in that room.
Yeah,
and and you know the navigator from Last Starfighters over here going, oh, isn't this great? Isn't it wonderful? But like it's some creepy stuff, man.
How about did you see how big that computer was just to play the video? I'm like, dude, you could just go buy, you know, a Sony, you know.
Well, you know, I like that he's got to push like 4 buttons
Yeah, there's a
across.
whole process. They love that blinking light console because they use it for everything, and in the every shot in there has that
It's
blinking console on it.
like the Death Star, you know. It's like, you know, in order to blow up this planet, we've got to push these 4 buttons,
Yeah,
and they've got to be in the right sequence. Like, what would happen if you didn't push those buttons? It would.
yeah, yeah. There you go. So he asks where the girl is. They show her on a video of another room, which they didn't have to use a computer for that. But he could see the screen. She's laying there strapped down to a table. She's fine. But then we take Tom Atkins, put him in a room, strap him to a chair, throw on Halloween on TV for him to watch. Because at 9 o'clock, and they throw a mask on him, at 9 o'clock, it's going to kill him too. Lo and behold, Tom Atkins is smarter than that. But
yeah, he gets away.
He gets away. But let's try to talk about why why Cochran is doing all this.
Well, so, you know, I think you had a good point when you said that he just hates kids.
Yeah, I mean,
But
that's part of it.
what he said was that Samhain, you know, Halloween was once a major staple of the Druidic holidays series, and it required sacrifice.
Yeah,
And now it's just a matter of giving kids candy, and that's not okay.
right. We're going to get it back to the original meaning by
So
killing all of them.
so he steals a stone from Stonehenge and makes a bunch of masks, and he's gonna kill a whole bunch of kids and their
Yeah.
families.
Again, I love the fact that when they show the Stonehenge thing, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't even know how we got it here." You know, I'm just as amazed as you are. Oh
Yeah,
man,
it gets a little dicey at that point. You know,
yeah,
he's Irish, so you know you got the whole Stonehenge. Except that Stonehenge isn't on Ireland, is it? It's in the
he's
United Kingdom. It's northern United Kingdom, but like, so you know, he's got Stonehenge, and he's wanting to bring it back. He's wanting to take it back to formula, you know, like
right.
OG kind of style.
Yeah,
And
kind of.
instead of giving kids candy, he wants to
Yeah.
give ancient gods kids' souls.
A la Wicker Man kind of idea, right? So you know, this is how the planets are aligned, and this is the way it's supposed to be done. This is the last time this has happened in 3,000 years.
Sure.
So you get all this big story with this, and you know, then Tom Atkins does what Tom Atkins does. He raises up and busts the TV out with his feet, even though they're still tied up, takes a piece of the TV screen, cuts himself loose. How about him flinging that mask on that security camera? I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, that's a good, you know, 12, you know, close to 20-foot throw, and it lands perfectly on it. That's Tom Atkins.
That's what happens when you have the power of having sex with a 22-year-old.
That's right, and some Miller Lite. Oh,
High life, man. There was no Miller Lite at this point.
that's right. That's right.
The night
High
belonged to
life.
Michelob. So yeah, so he thwarts the villain's plan, and then like he takes it a step further. He gets a hold of a bunch of those chips that are in the back of the mask, and he dumps them down into the bullpen where the guys are doing the whole
Yeah, he climbs up on the
webcast.
catwalk and just starts dumping them, and they're like pew pew pew, just everything going off, killing all Kraftwerk's getting all killed down there.
And he somehow I guess he went down there first, and he like turned on, he pushed those buttons in sequence and started the whole thing. So now the lasers are shooting all the guys in lab coats, and guess what? They're all gonna die. And you know, and old OCP's over here going,
All right, nice job, nicely done, because he knows it's over.
because like then after all the guys in lab coats, there's just like a ring, like a circle of power that like shoots blue light in the OCP's
Yeah.
head, and he's like super powered now, I guess.
Now his head turns into cream cheese and then he just disintegrates, man. But of course, the whole thing is, if a little bitty chunk of Stonehenge and you put it in the back of a mask can do what it does, imagine what the whole stone can do when you play this commercial in front of it.
Right, right. And
What did they not test that beforehand? I'm just trying to think of the logic behind, how did they find out that Stonehenge had this magic? Is it an
yes.
old tale? I mean, it's just
Yeah,
yeah, okay, sure.
that's it.
But yeah, he goes and saves the girl, gets her. They come out. I cracked up, man. I busted out laughing when they're sneaking back into the lab, and they've got that whole rack of masks, and they're hiding behind that whole rack, and they're just pushing it along, like nobody's gonna see it. I'm just like, brah!
It's like if you've ever played Metal Gear Solid, there's a point where you can get under a box, and you can hide in a box. And like if you move too fast, then one of the guards will be like, "It's a box." And then I'll kick it over, like, "Why is this box moving?" Like that guy's more astute than these dudes are.
But yeah, the fact that he sneaks up with everybody there and types in the right pattern or whatever, like he would know what it is.
Right.
Hey, it's Tom Atkins. He can do anything.
So then he gets so in another phantasm thing, he gets in the car,
Yeah.
and he's there with Ellie, and he's like, "Well, we've got to stop it, before it kills all these kids." And she does she does a deadly friend thing,
Yeah. Yeah, that head turn. Yeah.
and you're like, "Uh-oh."
It's on. The next thing you know, she's trying to grab him by the throat and kill him. And he rams his cutlass into a tree. And what else would he drive? I mean,
Swanson comes out.
yeah. And her arm, even he hits this big tree and it throws her out, but her arm is still hung on the armrest on the car, on the passenger side.
So of course he puts it in his lap,
Harold Ming.
he fights her off because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, he goes outside. She's got this little twig sticking out here and it's spraying stuff everywhere. And then he basically car tools her head, knocks her head off, and he gets back in the car. And then all of a sudden, the attack of the killer arm starts happening.
Yeah, he gets well, because at this point you've got to like draw the movie out as long as you can because it's over.
Right. So you get the whole you get the whole
No. And then he beats it as quickly as it comes along. He's like,
right.
Oh, it's just an arm.
And he just slings it.
over here.
Then all of a sudden then you get another surprise attack, It's kind of what you expect. She's a bot, man. They took her and changed her, and now she's a robot, so she's long gone. Or, I don't know. Maybe Tom picks up the rest and say, "Hey, I'll save this for later."
Yeah, save it. I think no, he's got plenty. You don't have to worry about that. He's like, well, this one's gone. I mean, do we even worry about what happened to Ellie?
Nah,
really.
nah,
Does he? No.
nah. He don't care.
Her dad's dead.
Right.
Nobody really cares about her anymore.
Nah. So, just like the beginning of the movie, he's run up to the same gas station.
Same gas station. Must be
Use the telephone.
Era.
Yeah. And even the guy at the gas station said, "Hey, don't I know you? You look familiar." "Nope, you don't know me."
That guy with the real flat face,
Yeah. So we get in there. We're trying to call everybody and get the channels to shut off the commercial so it doesn't happen. Then you get a group of kids that actually come in the store trick-or-treating. The commercial's on, and you get the shot of him watching them turn off the commercials on certain channels, but he can't get to all of them. And the commercial plays, and he's screaming, "Turn it off!"
No, yeah, it's a ding, 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 ding. It's
Yep.
time for the big giveaway, kids.
And that's your ending, man. Him screaming on the phone and trying to stop this thing from happening. He calls his wife at one point, "Hey, you gotta get rid of the mask." I was like, what's up with his voice at this point? I know he's trying to be quiet, but you don't have to go up another register and listen to me.
You need that too.
No, I've not been drinking.
Like so, and here's the other thing. Like again, the first Halloween, they didn't really set it up for a sequel, and this
Yeah,
one they more than obviously did. They were like,
sure.
maybe we can do episode 4 as a continuation, like the minute after, like episode 2 was to episode 1. But people didn't bite, man.
But it kind of works too because it leaves you on that cliffhanger thing. So yeah, you could have carried it on, but it works fine like it is too. And I think that's why everybody enjoys it now because again, it's ridiculous, but it's fun ridiculous. It takes a long time to get to the things that are happening, but at the end of it, you're like, you know what? That's
I
all
don't feel
right.
like I don't feel like it takes an overt amount of time. There's no dead time in it. It's just kind of a weird plot. So it
Yeah.
it kind of has ebbs and flows. We didn't mention the drunk in
Oh yeah.
Samira, who, you know, is kind of
They
a
wouldn't
staple.
hire me. I'm a local
Kind of a,
boy. You know.
yeah, kind of a staple of a John Carpenter thing. He's like, well, you know what I would do? I'd burn the whole place down. And then later they meet him in his shack, and he's like, I was just joking. And they
Yeah.
kill him with the, you know, like all that.
They rip his head off.
They do.
Yeah, which is what I really remembered. If you've noticed all the movies I usually talk about, the scene that I always remember as a kid is when their head gets pulled off or whatever.
Well, it's disturbing.
Yeah. So,
I do think that dude digging his fingers into the guy's brain and breaking his nose
yeah,
from the inside
that's
is
brutal.
way more.
Yeah.
That there's something about that that's just kind of like, I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah. That's brutal. That's some Bruce Lee stuff there. So yeah, man, there you go. This is Halloween 3. I think it's fun.
I don't dislike it. I think there's some problems with the whole way the plot goes along, but that's just kind of a sign of the times.
Yeah.
I really think it's plotted well, the timing is well, the tempo is good, the kills are excellent.
Yeah.
The plot is weird, but in a way that makes you interested as opposed to dismissive.
Well, as we said, and this is kind of an Italian thing too, they borrow from all these different sources, but really when you come away with it, there's nothing else like this movie.
No,
So
I
maybe
agree.
that's what makes it stand alone. And it's because they're pulling all these different elements and making it something original.
But I see. I don't know why it's called Season of the Witch.
Me either. Because the only thing he says is witchcraft at one point, and that's it.
Right. Like maybe they're trying to say the Druids were witches, and therefore it's kind of a return to that. But
No one knows who
that
they
was
were. Oh, what they were doing.
so should
For
we
all you
work on
Spinal
the
Tap fans out there.
choreography? Work on the choreography so they try to play.
Stonehenge, where the demons dwell, where the banshees live, and they do live well.
But yeah, I
Where a
mean,
man is a man, and the dancers dance to the pipes of Pan. Oh, Spinal Tap, man.
I wanted to see where they where those zodiac signs like Scorpio and stuff like on the stage. That was the Leo Lion Man.
I love this one because you're the Cancer, so you got the crab face. Oh, we'll have to save that for another show. We haven't done Spinal Tap either.
There's so many movies out there.
I know, it's ridiculous. Yellowbeard.
Yellowbeard.
Yeah.
So,
Zorro the Gay Blade.
so weird.
Yeah.
Zorro the Gay Blade is kind of hidden.
Yeah.
For a reason.
I don't know. I enjoyed it when I revisited. I was like, all right, it's goofy, it's campy, it's good.
Was it Alexander Hamilton? Is that his name?
No. Alexander Hamilton.
It's
George Hamilton.
George Hamilton, the man who's known for his tan. Yeah.
Yes. Him and
Yes.
Roy Schneider. Yeah.
Once bitten,
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. Any final words on Halloween 3?
Halloween 3 is fun. I'm glad that I watched it. It's been too long.
Yeah.
And like it's got some weirdness to it, but that just adds to its charm.
Yeah.
I like it.
So same here. It's enjoyable. If you're expecting Michael Myers, you're gonna be disappointed. But if
Yeah.
you haven't seen this one, give it a shot, man. It's got some scenes in there make you go, wow, never really seen anything like that before. And to me, that's what it's all about. Show me something different.
Yeah, I think it would have worked great in an anthology.
Yes, and that's where they were
With the
going.
idea.
So it totally feels like that too. That's
Right, like
when you feel
segue
like,
to the
well, we
next.
got 3 minutes left of screen time, we got to wrap this Joker up. So
And
yeah,
again, that's the great thing about the anthology is that it doesn't necessarily, it's a snippet of time. So it
right.
starts and finishes as part of an ongoing story.
Even though we have 3 missing days in it, so
Yeah, I still don't get that.
it's the sextapades, man. I'm telling you.
October 23rd. And then it's like, oh, by the way, it's Halloween.
Yeah. So that
Why
maybe
can't you tell my
we
son?
can make a sequel, right? In Search for the Lost Days.
Oh my God. They were boring days because they were still like the hospital.
Right. Before anybody came and set themselves on fire. So
Well, we just have like 100 kids getting witch masks.
yeah, yeah. I want to
Okay.
get one too. You can't have one. I ain't got the money. Yeah.
Save your life.
All right, folks, that's it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm glad we got a chance to get together and do this because I hate to bother you on your vacation, but hey, it worked out great.
No, it was a good time. It's a good
And
time.
it's Tommy Lee Wallace's birthdays, y'all.
Happy birthday, Tommy Lee Wallace.
Yeah.
Thank
So-
you for Fright Night 2.
So, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's probably my favorite. Yeah,
That's a good movie.
it is.
I might have been like, I don't know how sarcastic I was when he covered it, but I absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to revisit. So, cool. Folks, we will check you later. Adios.